10 productive habits to earn $10,000 a month in your first year with no effort, no hassle. But that's not all. Why? Because I'm adding an 11th habit as a bonus if you stick with me to the end. The first habit, which you can start right away, is to delegate to service providers in other countries. I follow this strategy myself with my YouTube thumbnail designer based in Belgium. First, why delegate? Because you're stronger with an army behind you than on your own. You can be the best strategist. What I learned from the movie Napoleon is that war is often about numbers. So, it's better to have several 24-hour shifts than just your 24 miserable hours. Second, always communicate via the Discord social media. If it's really very confidential, use Telegram. But why do I use Discord? I used to be on WhatsApp. Firstly, because it takes away a bit of privacy compared to WhatsApp, where the person already has your own phone number. What's more, you can easily send any kind of media. It doesn't degrade the quality. My third tip is to participate in their evolution. Either leave them a video testimonial, for example, at the end of a service, or coach them for free in the area where you know the most. Always be ultra polite and don't look for 10 out of 10 in your work. Even if you pay a lot, even if it's a high ticket, don't go for 10 out of 10. Why? Because the guy actually really knows this. He works a lot harder than you can see. Because, of course, you're delegating to an expert and he's the only one who sees all the work that goes into it. You can quantify that. Similarly, since we are in this field, always delegate to an area you already know. That comes from Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Why? Because if you don't, you're actually a sucker. I can make you believe anything with a high ticket offer that, in fact, reveals nothing behind it. I can rip you off with super long lead times. I have been a victim of that, and in fact, he had not even started the job. I can make you up anything. Why? Because you don't have the same level of knowledge as I do. It's exactly the same in Asterix and Obelix, Mission Cleopatra, when the Egyptian guide lets Asterix and Obelix down in the pyramid. He knows the way, the others follow him blindly. It's all the same. My fifth piece of advice, still on point 1, can you imagine how complete this video promises to be? Is to always pay an extra dollar. I'm using the example of $1 more because, for example, when I go to the hairdresser, I always give an extra dollar. As a result, all the hairdressers know my first name and often put me first. They call me by my first name in front of all the others. Sometimes they spend 40 minutes on my haircut. It's to show you that people will treat you like a VIP, even if it's only with an extra dollar, $2, $3 that you give them as a tip. It's the secret of the rich. I also worked with a former miniature maker. He gave me a price of $20 per thumbnail at the time. I often gave him $25 via PayPal. As a result, sometimes I wanted one more correction and he would give it to me. Sometimes I wanted the thumbnail the next day and he would give it back to me. The relationship was much healthier. And by the way, I know that Tuganbauer also talked about this, about delegating in other countries. It's obviously taken from Tim Ferriss, especially as we are lucky enough to be English speaking, which means we can speak to a large part of the world, such as India. It's cheaper labor because it's much cheaper there. The second productive habit for earning $10,000 a month without forcing yourself is to train on YouTube before each new action. Either you make YouTube work for you, or you will be working for YouTube, because you will be just one piece of data among a billion others. So YouTube is the best intelligence AI in the world. Today, there is a rat race of the future rich content creator that is taking hold, in the sense that everyone wants to be a YouTuber. Everyone wants to be a trainer. Everyone wants to be an entrepreneur, which means that everyone is killing themselves to make as many videos as possible with as much quality as possible and reinvest as much as possible in editing or the media maker, the graphic designer for the thumbnail. Who benefits from all this? Because for me, it's a rat race, just a little bit bigger and more lucrative than the employee rat race. But it's the same thing. Experienced viewers. But how do you recognize an experienced viewer? You have a specific algorithm. You can create several Google accounts. I have one for entertainment and MMA, and I have one specifically for content creation. I have stopped watching all the traditional video creators on YouTube because everything repeats itself. Everything comes from unquoted books. It gets on my nerves. I would rather move on, stick to what I've learned and what's going on here. That's more than enough for me. As for the rest, for this algorithm, Sirius, it's either for my expatriation or for the job of creating content with all the latest gear news. Do the same in your job. Job plus expatriation. And you will have a second account with entertainment plus others. To create this first very serious account, either reset the history of the videos you have watched in your Google account or create a new one. In both cases, you need to take action. Why? Because it takes 2 minutes. You have changed your personality because you have changed your content algorithm, and you are already starting to trigger your cumulative snowball effect. If there are mistakes or videos from time to time that you don't want to see in your YouTube recommendations, either you press the 3 little dots, you do don't recommend the channel, or you press the same 3 little dots and I think you put don't recommend this content or I don't like this content. I spend maybe 10 hours a day on YouTube because it's often in the background with alpha waves. I enjoy YouTube as long as it's productive. There were times when I got bored on YouTube. I felt like there was nothing left but Neymar shorts. Why was that? Because I had indulged in the kind of lambda viewer behavior that even 10-year-olds who don't run a business, unlike me, do. You have to take it in the ego. If your YouTube algo looks the same as 5 million Americans, 5 million Americans don't have and never will have the results you want. You need to make your YouTube account look like your future. The third productive habit on this top list for earning $10,000 a month quickly and easily in the first year is not to start a new task, but to finish a new task. Why is that? Because even if it's new, it's your power to start with, say, 3 out of 3 and then work your way down to 0 out of 3, rather than the other way around. Let me explain. Apply the book Influence to the letter in its principle 2, which is consistency and commitment. We are made to like finishing things. If I start to tell you a story and end up stopping, you're going to be thinking about it even tonight. Being more productive means moving more at the pace of your brain, because as written in many habits, it's 3 times more unpleasant when you don't feel like it, knowing that the road to riches is always longer than you think. I urge you to apply this strategy. So what I do is, for example, I will list 16 tasks I still have to do. I'm not going to start from 0 out of 16, but from 16 out of 16 all the way down. A little mnemonic. It's like at the Olympics. You start by announcing the bronze medal, the silver medal, and then the gold medal. And a little pro tip from all those books. Always think the opposite of the majority. Success lies even in the minority of the minority. Why? Because in front of you, you may have 1,000 problems to solve until you achieve the financial results you've been dreaming of. As Albert Einstein said, it would be madness to try to solve these 1,000 problems with the same level of thinking that you have now or that created them in the first place. So, what you have to do is change your skin dedication to Robert Greene to find it more normal to apply these solutions day after day. The best advice I have ever given around me when people ask me how to enjoy reading, how to read more often, how to finish books, firstly, just how do you finish it? I have already been told. Oh, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but did you finish it? I have been asked that question before. My answer was always, believe it more normal to read any book than to do anything else. When I coach a friend, I tell her it's more normal to be in front of the computer and work on applications, websites, whatever you want, Figma models, whatever you want, than to go shopping, cook, do sport, call a friend, call each other, and so on. This must become your way of life. In fact, replace boredom with this task. This task is basically level 0, sea level. You do it no matter what. Whenever you have time, you do that task. The first productive habit to earn $10,000 a month, especially now, is going to be easy. Why? Because we're going to benefit from social pressure. Once again, from the book Influence. And that's the 24/7 Pomodoro. Let me explain. It's some sort of collective meetings where we are all working with the camera on, everyone in silent mode, to break down the virtual barrier and get down to work, even for the most lazy, even for the most inept, because in the end, we can share our screen. When you walk in, it's like going to the gym. Why? Because deserters are punished. When you enter, in fact, you're going to arrive in a space where you are noticed when you enter, and you are also noticed when you leave. You will start to make friends. Everyone greets each other when they first enter the Pomodoro, and it really is a virtual family of mini Steve Jobs in the making. If I use the Pomodoro, it's because there is a reason. So, if I'm able to work that hard in those moments, you will be happy to do as I do. Really, I'm not reinventing the wheel and to be inspired by the social pressure of students, but who, in the end, become brothers in arms, who sometimes have more motivation than me, more habit than me, more mindset than me. So do the same thing, because either if you refuse, well, that means you're probably bitter, or it's a problem of insecurity. In either case, it's ego. Stop paying a lot of money for meaningless things with guys who would not even say hello to you outside without a camera. Go instead with guys who work with you and greet you when you walk into the session. The fifth habit to earn $10,000 a month in a very intelligent way is to use the Eisenhower matrix. With this matrix, you will filter all the tasks, all the missions, all the objectives in front of you into urgent, non-urgent, important, non-important, basically. I will tell you one thing. You are doing too many things to be productive. I will go even further. You don't need to be productive if you only do the important tasks. To recognize an important task, it's often a task you need, and a task you need is often a task you're afraid of. That's from Tribes of Mentors. We go from one book to the next to the 80-20 principle. If you use even 20% of your time well, that's nothing, 20% of your time. Well, you will never run out again. The problem is not that you don't work 22-hour days. With that, you're exhausted, it's going to last 3 days, and you don't do that. You don't become an entrepreneur, or at least you don't work for yourself to get disgusted with working for yourself. I don't think it has escaped your notice that rich people don't work for very long. The richest people around me work a little in the morning. They all get up very early and maybe in the middle of the afternoon. A little check, that's all. I quote you, a friend. He's a real estate millionaire who told me, I can't remember the last time I worked on a weekend. He told me that while I work every weekend. There is no difference in our entrepreneurial schedules between a Monday and a Sunday. So maybe take half your tasks off, that's for sure. Similarly, in the 80-20 principle, there's also the 55 principle. Basically, 50% of your tasks, your missions, your objectives, whatever you want, will only bring you 5% more results when it's positive. So, it makes economic sense to cut them out. It's not smart to have a to-do list the size of an Egyptian papyrus. Why is that? Because, as written in Deep Work, your brain only rests when you close today. If, when you go to bed, you see that in your to-do list there are still 34 tasks to do and 8 urgent ones, how do you expect your brain to rest? It can't believe it. It's the perfect transition to the sixth habit that pays $10,000 a month, which is to set yourself just one goal a day. By doing just one thing, you counter the need to be productive all the time. Because you can be productive on tasks you're used to, and you're not afraid of that, because you're used to it. So it goes quickly, but at any given moment, you might need a new task. And in fact, you're going to put it aside. I'm the champion at this. You see, I'm human too. So you don't want to stop being productive and go back to being a beginner on the task to see what happens. Do you need to buy something? Do you end up needing many more days than you thought? Do you end up breaking your teeth on it? Maybe it can be done. In the end, you will have wasted time. It's 1,001 questions you ask yourself because you are in doubt, because you don't yet have the knowledge. So, writing down just one goal a day counters this need to always be productive. I don't care how productive you are. Employees may be more productive than us. They work 10 hours a day as accountants, whatever you want. It goes fast. On the other hand, they don't work for themselves. What they do is not intelligent. So, what I would recommend instead, and I have realized this recently, is to do only efficient tasks. It doesn't matter if I'm not in high spirits, if I'm more tired today than yesterday or the next day, if in the end I needed to eat more or I missed more habits. It doesn't matter. The important thing is that I stay on task. So be more efficient than productive. And if you're part of a community, what you can do is post it in the objective chat room. You can post it as social pressure so that everyone else can see it. And you can even make a video. It's like a family of entrepreneurs, brothers in arms, virtually roommates. The seventh habit to earn $10,000 a month easily without going over your head for years is to apply your MIT before your morning routine. Why? Because if you sleep well, if you have a good night's sleep, if you turn off all electronic devices while you're sleeping, if you respect your circadian rhythm, normally that's when you have the most energy. So that's where you have the most courage, where you are the most confident, where you've got almost the biggest ego in place to do the goal of the day that scares you the most. It's better to attack that goal of the day at 9 a.m. when you know you've got maybe 12 hours ahead of you to finish it, than to attack it tired, coming back from sport with 2 meals in your belly, an outing to run some errands, more to buy supplies, answer the delivery man, make phone calls with 2-3 online service providers, and start it at 3 p.m. Your day is all about momentum. For example, when you eat, you break that momentum. Then you have to get it back. My advice is to start very, very early in the morning. When you're poor, when you're young, when you can only count on yourself, when you have to do violence to yourself, your money, your ultra-fast financial success based on very solid foundations is more important than your health. Who cares about your health? Personally, I would rather see you gain skills very quickly, for example, in editing, graphic design, or no-code development, than go on a 20-hour fast and be able to pick up any girl 9 out of 10 in the street. There are priorities, and for the poor, it's financial survival. Your MIT lasts between 15 minutes and 3 hours. So there are days when, depending on the task, you're only going to do 30 minutes, 20 minutes of MIT, and sometimes it will even go until noon. I know that the earlier I get up, the longer my MIT lasts. So I know that when I get up around 5, 6 or even 7 in the morning, it's still very early for me. Well, my MIT often, when I'm really into the task, I'm in a state of flow and all. I'm happy to carry on even until noon, 1 p.m., 2 p.m. In the same way, you will see that fasting allows you to lengthen your MIT. Of course, if you have to change rooms, go and join I don't know who, go shopping or at worst cook, because really keep your food in glass Tupperware. Make meals 1 afternoon, evening maximum per week. The rest is in glass Tupperware or snacks made from nuts, seeds, honey, whatever that you, in quotes, cook in the moment. It takes you 3 minutes. Because the more meals you have during the day, the more you break your momentum. What's more, the less productive you become because you're both digesting and intellectualizing. That's not good. Precisely, the 8th best habit in my top 10 for earning $10,000 a month quickly without getting in over your head is to fast for as long as possible every day without putting pressure on yourself. When you go to the gym, it's also about having fun. So you're not there to keep track of every lap and everything, and you are bound to lose out on progress, but you will also gain in sensation. You are also there for the social life at the gym, for example. Well, it's going to be the same for runners. The runners, they are there, they are disgusted because they did a slower time than last time. It's all mapped out. You forget the pleasure of just getting on with it, getting your heart pumping and breathing in the fresh air outside, greeting the people you have passed along the way. Number 1, to be productive, you don't need to eat much. Number 1. So often you're going to be very lean. Number 2 in this 8th habit is that even if it's half true, tell yourself that every time you eat, You're poisoning yourself because the majority of products are of poor quality. They are just the residue of animals that were themselves close to dying at every step. So really, there's nothing natural about what you eat, unless you follow the philosophy of Nassim Nicholas Taleb, for example. By fasting, you kill all your bad cells, all your bad residues stored in your body. And thirdly, if you compare the foods you eat today with their nutritional content 100 years ago, they are all at minus 90%. You're eating things that give you nothing, no nutrients. On the other hand, you have to digest them, and that's even harder to do. So, to quote Anthony Robbins, if you're having trouble fasting, then eat nothing but fruit in the morning. Why? Because fruit provides you with an immense supply of energy and some really powerful nutrients. They are often over 70% water, and your body spends almost no energy digesting them. So, if you are really struggling, remember that the miracle food is going to be fruit. But otherwise, what I do is fast between 16 and 20 hours a day. As a result, I never take a long break in my day. Every time I go back to work, it's like I never left. I just have to get back on task. But in 2, 3, 4 minutes, the machine is up and running. On the other hand, of course, I have lost weight. I have lost about 9 to 13 pounds in 1 year of fasting. On the other hand, once you have lost it, all the extra weight because you're eating too much for your body, your weight stops going down. The ninth habit for earning $10,000 a month, and this was a mistake I made too often in my first 2 years of online business, is to take on service providers or at least business partners over the phone. This is very bad for 2 reasons. Number 1, if your request is not clear enough to be understood in writing, then your project is bad. Your idea is poorly expressed. You are thinking wrongly. It's because you need to do some work upstream before presenting it. Number 2, too much human kills productivity. In the end, when you start talking about anything and everything, it's more about moral than productivity. So, in fact, we are moving away from a professional relationship to a friendly one. When the relationship changes, so does his judgment of you. In my case, you obviously respect this rule, except for your girlfriend. The girlfriend, I might add, is a pearl you met during your desert crossing. So, you had no choice but to give it a try. Otherwise, if it's an average girl, you stay focused on your work. If it's an average girl, then you will have 200 times more when you reach your goal, maybe in 2, 7, 9 years. Remember, the majority of your calls are either distractions or it's because you're too scared to work. So you would rather call someone and whatever they tell you will turn out to be entertainment. Robert Greene would be frustrated because you have to create a mystique, as he explains in Power. The boss, the initiator, the instigator, the leader, call it what you will, has to create a mystique with his online service providers, with whoever you want. I'm playing it cool today with my smiley face, colon, boomer parentheses, but that's what it is. It's accessible, it's human, but only in writing. When you call me, I make it clear that it's urgent. We stay on topic. And today, I don't go beyond that. What's more, it's misplaced ego to say to yourself, today I've had 15 calls. It makes me think of people who will talk to you like that. No, we don't do that. We're here to work productively and intelligently. I don't want to spend my day in front of the computer because it's stylish to be an entrepreneur. As long as it's profitable for me to work, I will do it. As soon as it's cryptos and so on, it's the word enough. Enough is as good as a fist. I will stop this. I don't care if I come across as an entrepreneur. It's much more interesting to come across as an investor. The 10th productive habit, but not the last, stay right to the end, to earn $10,000 a month, it's going to be to stop the wild music. You can call it zero shitty music, zero shitty rap, zero rap, call it what you like. But be violent in your expression of this mini habit. Why is this? Because no matter what, you're going to get hooked on the music you listen to the most. Your brain is stronger than your productivity. So, no matter what happens, it won't be able to sort it out. It's like at the gym. Your brain doesn't count reps. I took years of old age before I understood that logic. This is the same thing. So, what you're going to do is consciously force yourself to listen only to alpha waves. Alpha waves also includes music such as slowed and reverb and 1 hour loop. You can take Ludovico Einaudi. It's a great first step. In any case, that's the one I would recommend. Slowed and reverb, loop for an hour, 10 hours, whatever you like. Then, little by little, you will move on to keywords like extended. I have spent years reading up on Ludovico Einaudi. Extended is music that lasts maybe 55 minutes. Really, you feel like you're in space. It's incredible. I felt like I was reading on Mars. And then your brain will come back for more because your brain, no matter what, is addicted to what you're doing. Working in front of a computer, in front of a book, in front of a camera, it's boring. Here, I'm talking to you. There's no background music when I'm shooting. I don't have my headphones on, listening to big sound in my ears. Most of the work you will do in your life, you will do without music, because it requires you to concentrate. You've stayed until the end, you deserve it. The 11th habit to earn $10,000 a month is a technological bonus. Switch from a simple phone to Rabbit Airone. This is a tool based on artificial intelligence instead of applications on your phone, on which you will find nothing but productivity. It's as if you had OpenAI instead of your phone. Distraction is omnipresent in our lives because it's our sixth finger. It's the extension of our hand. It's too frequent, knowing that our brains are not very good at it. Even if you uninstall all your applications, even if you're just going to your gallery to recall memories, it's going to produce dopamine. That was the case for me. I think the price is $200 for life, which is absolutely incredible. A lot of coders say that this business model won't last. All the better, sink the company by taking it because they have posted that price. You're a customer, you have rights, so take advantage of them. Given the technology inside, of course it's worth every phone on the market, especially since we, as entrepreneurs, don't use our phones like beauty influencers, your ex-girlfriends, or your ex-classmates. Keep in mind that Rabbit Airone has no news feed, and instead, your personal success finger, second brain life coach, is going to be ChatGPT. Easy.